up their family time, giving up their social life, giving up their farming, so that way they can continue to set a precedent. This is not about them. If you guys are thinking it's about them, it's about the next generation. It's about the next generation. So next, I would like to have a local activist, our brother Masimran Colon, who helped organize the first DC rally that was extremely successful. He's been a great part in helping organize this one as well. So my brother, please.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ I want to thank my brothers and sisters from New York DC ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਦਸੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸਾਨੀ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਰੀ ਸੀ 2 ਵਾਰੀ ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਹਜੇ ਮਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਾ ਹੋਣ ਦਾ ਸਬੂਤ ਨਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਏਕਤਾ किसान एकता किसान मजदूर एकता My purpose of speaking tonight is not what everybody else is talking about in India. मेरा पर्पस ये है कि मैं याद आवां कि ये बिल कित्थों आए ने ते इन्हां बिल्लां वर्गे बिल 1960 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 70 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਚ ਸੀਗੇ. So I'll be talking in both languages, going back and forth, because the privatization that Indian government is doing in India of farming, of big agricultural firms like Monsanto, which is what the Ambani company is going to become. The farmer is the only person that grows something that's pure. When a company grows something that's not pure, it's impure. In the 1960s and 70s, American farmers went through the same thing. Big agro came in, big companies came in, small farmers out. There's a reason that in America you do not see farmers of under 50 or 100 acres. There's no farmers. You're not even called a farmer. You're just growing stuff for the local fresh market, for the local farmers market. Big farming in America is 100, 200, 500,000 plus acres. That's exactly what the right-wing, ultra-right-wing fascist government of Modi in India is trying to do. We've seen it here in America. Now, America had a solution to this. America had a solution to this. In 2019 alone, $22 billion in federal subsidy was paid to farmers in the U.S. $22 billion with a B. India does not afford that, cannot afford that, and the government is not offering that to the farmers. That will never be offered to farmers in that country. Subsidy is the only way American farmers are still lasting. Indian farmers are lasting on their own farming. They're lasting because of themselves, because of their own hard work. American farmers have subsidies. Indian farmers don't have that. So when big agro is coming into India, when privatization of the seller's market, which is called a mandi there, is going to happen, that small farmer is going to die. Quite literally die. India has been the suicide capital of farmers for the past 8 years. We've seen this happen here in America. We've seen this happen in multiple capitalistic countries around the world. We are not for or against any kind of financial system. We are just for our farmers. We are against large corporations taking over any kind of livelihood from any farmers. Farming, quite literally every human being in the entire world can trace their roots back to farming, can trace their roots back to villages. So today, as an elected official from Virginia, as a Sikh, as a Punjabi, as a human being, I implore not only you guys, not only the White House behind me, not only President Biden sitting in that office today, but also the average American citizen who may be listening to us right here, who may be listening to us through Twitter, through Facebook, or any other social media platform. If you do not rise today, if you do not stand up with us today, we will fail. I want you guys to think about that for a second. ਆਪਾਂ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਰਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਫੇਲਿਅਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮੱਦੇਨਜ਼ਰ ਰੱਖੀਏ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਨਾ ਹੋਏ ਤੇ ਫੇਲ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਫੇਲਿਅਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਰੱਖੋ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਵਾਂਗੇ. We will not allow our farmers of India to fail. We will not allow. We are smart enough to develop new strategic, innovative ways to keep their livelihood up. We will do that. But what the government is doing is also not right. So we have the right and we have the responsibility and the duty to stand up against any kind of tyrannical government or any kind of tyrannical bill passed in a so-called democracy. So, number one, for the American citizens listening to us, the non-Punjabi folks that are listening to us, India is not a democracy. Please ingrain that in your mind. India is not a democracy. Please ingrain that in your mind and your neighbor's mind. You can't call yourself a democracy when in the parliament the bill is passed in this way. The bill is being introduced, bill number so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's been passed. That's not how a bill is passed in parliament. That's not how a bill is passed in the U.S. Congress. That's not how a bill should be passed ever in a country that rages about its largest democracyhood. I thank you guys for coming out. I thank you guys for never letting this battle die. We will never let this battle die. Promise me we will never let the battle die. I'm going to say we were never let. You're going to say let this battle die. We were never let.
This battle die!
We will never let.
This battle die!
We were never let.
This battle die!
This battle will never die. The battle for justice, for equity, and justice will never die around the world as long as we tie our turbans. As long as we wake up in the morning and we tie a turban, we will never let justice die. That is the purpose of us tying a turban. That is the purpose of our roots. That is why we are here. That is why we will always stand, not only for our farmers, we will stand for every marginalized community in the world, no matter where they are or you are. I thank you for your time. Have a great day. And while you're here in D.C., while you're spending your time here, while you're spending your tax dollars here, remind everybody that you see that 250 million people are on the streets of India protesting, the largest human protest of our lives. Remember that. Thank you.
Kisan Ekta! Kisan Ekta! Kisan Ekta! Kisan Ekta! Long live! Long live! Long live! Show me what democracy looks like! 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 What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Long live! 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 Let's give it up for Myanmar. These protests for Myanmar. We are with you, we're family, and we support your cause. We're with you, and we support your cause.
Have one of them speak.
Guys, before you guys go, wait. Before you guys go, real quick. So what we're protesting about is similar to you. You guys were promised democracy. We're not given that. We're in India. It's being advertised as the biggest democracy. These Asian countries need to stop the bullshit and they need to say it like it is. We want to make sure we're together in this, and if one of your speakers would want to come here, we would love for you guys to share your thoughts. We're with you and we stand in solidarity with you guys. Thank you so much. No farmers, no food.
No farmers, no food.
So there's another rally from people from Myanmar speaking up for human rights in their country.
We are here. I will say to all the Burmese
on behalf of our Burmese civilians, Burmese exiles, and we are here together to fight human rights together with your all together brethren and sisters of citizens in this earth. We are here, yes, solidarity, stand solidarity to fight against with the inhumanity. That's why you are here for, and we stand solidarity, and we thank you for the space that you guys give us, and we appreciate it.
Hello everyone. I applaud you all for standing up for human rights so that justice must prevail in the world. In this world, many people abuse power, but for what? Money? For resources? But isn't it human life that is the most valuable thing in this world? Brothers and sisters, we are humans and we have the human right to express our freedom of speech, to tell the world what we want and stand up for one another. So I applaud you for standing up and staying in solidarity for human rights being violated in India. Free India! Free Myanmar! Free India! Free Myanmar! So I understand that farmers are protesting. So in Myanmar as well, those in power are abusing and taking advantage of the people who are actually working very hard. And civilians, people who do not have the resources they should get, they are being bullied. And we cannot stand with them. We have to stand up against them and show them that we are together with justice, because justice will prevail. I believe that in this world there is the power of the truth. And the truth and the justice will always prevail. Therefore, we must fight together. And thank you for your support, brothers and sisters. The people of Myanmar have so much respect for your country as well. India must be free. Myanmar must be free. Thank you. We're united. We are united for freedom, justice, and democracy. Thank you. We are united.
Everybody, give it up for our beautiful people right now. Also protesting the same thing we're protesting for, man. Good. Human rights is a big, big issue across Asia. Whether it's a genocide, a Muslim genocide going on in China, whether the issues going on in Myanmar, or whether it's the farmers' protests in India. This is to name a few. Or the anti-Asian crimes happening right here in the United States. We got to stand up for Asian Americans. We got to stand up for Asians all across the world. So please, we got to make sure we show up these protests, man. Very, very important. No farmers! No farmers! No farmers! No farmers! No farmers! Alright, so getting back on track, this is amazing, couldn't predict that. But our next speaker, speaking of justice, we have Diljit Kaur, who's a labor and employment attorney and community organizer. She will be discussing the importance of viewing farmers' protests as a food justice issue, where the farmers' demands can send a huge noise and amplify all across the globe. So please, Diljit.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Pavan Guru, Prani Pita, Mata Sarasa Mahanta. The wind is my guru, my teacher. The water is my father. And the greatest of all is my mother, the earth. This is what we share, our Mother Earth. And if the pandemic taught us anything, the pandemic taught us that we also share the air that we breathe. The farmers' protest is teaching us that we share the food system that feeds us. My 5-year-old daughter just learned recently about the food web. In the food web, producers are at the bottom, and consumers and predators are at the top. In our modern food system, the agrarian farmer, the Kisan, the Mazdoor, they are at the bottom. Big agribusinesses enjoy profit at the top. These predators work through the beauty of corporate influencers and global institutions such as the WTO, the IMF, and the World Bank. Last week, Darshan Pal, a union leader in India, spoke before the United Nations Security Council. He raised the violations of the United Nations Declaration on the rights of peasant workers and rural peoples. It was a violation of that declaration to pass these laws without consulting the farmers. That declaration allows farmers to be engaged in their own decision making, to determine their rights, to determine their livelihood. This was completely denied when these laws were passed unconstitutionally last September. In the United States, more than 5 million family farmers have disappeared over the past 100 years. What does this mean? Economists say that this is healthy development. Economists say that the farmers will profit from this. This is not true. In Canada, a wheat farmer receives $27 less for each bushel of wheat than his great-grandfather 150 years ago. What does this mean? The market system does not protect small farmers. It does not. But there is hope. In Spain, there are laws passed that ban the production of food below the cost of production. This bold move sets a gold standard. It allows other countries to follow suit and to give farmers a minimum wage. That's what we're asking for, a minimum wage. It's basic. We see hope and inspiration in the solidarity statements from 87 different farmer and food justice organizations that are demanding that the farmers in India receive a fair wage. We see hope and inspiration in the words of the Indian economist Devinder Sharma, who said that the farmers' demands are a historical correction on outdated and flawed economic thinking. We see hope and inspiration in the solidarity being showered on the Asian American and Pacific Islander brothers and sisters in light of the shooting in Atlanta. We see hope and inspiration in the Black Lives Matter movement, which has spread worldwide awareness of racism and police brutality. We recognize that our struggles are interconnected, and we appreciate the solidarity from all of you here today, and celebrities such as Rihanna, Nina Harris, Rupi Kaur, and Lily. The farmers in India are fighting the right fight for farmers all over the world. Their victory is an indefeatable seed that can grow into a solid template. This is beautiful. You can't make this stuff up. In Myanmar, they are fighting for their human rights. They're not getting the attention that they deserve. And we stand in solidarity with them. Solidarity is how we win our struggles. That's how we ended apartheid in Africa, and that's how we will ensure that these farmers survive. Every 30 minutes, a farmer commits suicide. This is a huge drain on the women of India. We want a global system that provides the people who are the backbone of our food web with a basic wage, a guaranteed price at the farm gate. That's what we demand. The new economic system provides for sabka saath, sabka vikas. And in the words of my mentor, Dolores Huerta, from 50 years ago, this slogan still stands true today. Si se puede. Yes, it can be done. We got this. Kisan Majdoor Ekta Zindabad. Thank you.
Woo! Show me what democracy looks like. 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 This is actually very, very beautiful. Next speaker we have from New York City, representing Baba Maksha Labana as well, the little uncle that who has been doing activism almost his entire life, and now he's going to pass it forward to the next generation. Uncle.
Guru Pyari Sahib Singh ji, Dasham Pita ji, Giri Fateh, ਆਪਾਂ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਕਰੀਏ ਸਾਰੇ ਗੱਜ ਵੱਜ ਕੇ ਬੁਲਾਓ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਮੇਰੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੋਲੇ ਹਨ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ। ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਰਿਪੀਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਬੋਲ ਗਏ ਹਨ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਦਾਸ ਉਸਦਾ ਹੀ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਔਰ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਰ ਮੋਰਚੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਹਰ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਉਹ ਆਪ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਸਦਕਾ ਹੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਮ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਰੰਗ ਹੱਸੇ ਰੰਗ ਰੋਵੇ ਚੁੱਪ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਜਾਏ ਪਰਵਾਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੇਰੀ ਬਾਜ਼ ਸੱਚੇ ਨਾਹੀਂ। ਉਸ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਮਿਹਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੱਥ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਪਰਵਾਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਫਰਮਾਨ ਹੈ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਪਜੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਕਰ ਵੇਖੇ ਸੋਏ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਹੱਥ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਆਇਆ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਹੱਥ ਤਾਕਤ ਆਈ ਉਹਨੇ ਅਜਮਾ ਕੇ ਦੇਖੀ ਹੈ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਕਤ ਅਜਮਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਤੇ ਰਿਹਾ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਹਮਲੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁੱਤੇ ਪਏ ਆ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਸੁੱਤੇ ਆ। ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ 'ਚ ਆਈ। ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ 'ਚ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਆਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਥੇ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਦਾਦ 'ਚ ਇਕੱਠ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਚੰਦ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਦਰਦ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਦੂਰ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ। ਬਾਬੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਖੜੋਤ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਆਈ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰੁਕੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕੱਢਿਆ ਸੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਫਸੇ ਆ। ਸਾਡੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਵਾਰੀ ਹਮਲੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਤਾਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗਾ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਔਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਖੇਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਲਕ ਬਣਾਏ। ਅੱਜ ਉਸ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਯਾਦਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਲੋਹਗੜ੍ਹ ਕਿਲੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਭ ਢਹਿ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ। 10 ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਵਰਕ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੇ ਪੱਧਰ ਤੇ ਵਰਕ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਖਤਮ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ। ਅੱਜ ਉਹੀ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਰਾਜਨੀਤੀ ਧਿਰ ਹਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਰਾਜ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਉਹੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਨੂੰ ਫੜਾਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਕੌਣ ਸੀਗੇ। ਮੈਂ ਡਰਾਂਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਸੱਚ ਕਹਾਂਗਾ। ਮਜੀਠੀਆ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਪਿਛੋਕੜ ਨੂੰ ਝਾਤ ਮਾਰੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਨੂੰ ਕੈਦ ਕਰਵਾਇਆ। ਅੱਜ ਉਹੀ ਰਾਜ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਇਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਬੋਤਲ ਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਵਿਕ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਤੋਂ ਝੁਕਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਹਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਦਿਓ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਕਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੱਕ ਸੱਚ ਦੀ ਲੜਾਈ ਲੜਨੀ ਹੈ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੋਈ ਚੰਗਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਚੁਣ ਕੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਿਆਓ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਜੇਕਰ ਚੰਗਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਚੁਣ ਕੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਿਆਓ। ਔਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਢਾਹ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਢਾਹ ਲਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਗਾਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਮਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੀ ਮਾਰੇ ਨੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਰਾਜ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਨਾ ਧਰਮ ਚਲੇ ਧਰਮ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਸਭ ਥਲੇ ਮਲੇ ਹੈ। ਬਿਨਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਾਜ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਧਰਮ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲਦਾ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰਾਜਨੀਤੀ ਵੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਹੋਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਹੋਵੇ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਰਾਜਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਵੇਂ ਦਾ ਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਈਏ। ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਸੇ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਲੜਾਈਆਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰੀਏ ਤੇ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਹੱਲਾ ਮਾਰੀਏ। ਜਿਹੜੇ RSS ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਬੜਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲੱਗਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾੜ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਰਾਜ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਤਾਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੀਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਾਇਮ ਕਰੀਏ। ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਅਕਾਲ ਗੱਤਕਾ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਹੈ ਮੇਰਾ ਉਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਗੱਤਕਾ ਖੇਡਣਾ ਸੀ ਪਰ ਟਾਈਮ ਥੋੜਾ ਹੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਜੋੜ ਰਿਹਾ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤਣਾ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਹਾਰ ਗਏ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਥਾਂ ਦੇ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਮਾਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ ਹਰਿਆਣੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਲੋਂਗ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਹਾਰ ਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਵੜ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਰਨਾ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਰਵਾਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਜੇ ਇਹ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਜਿੱਤਣਾ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਕੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਇਸ ਉੱਤੇ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲਾਈਏ ਇਹ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਜਿੱਤੀਏ। ਕਿਸਾਨ ਮਜ਼ਦੂਰ ਏਕਤਾ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਮਜ਼ਦੂਰ ਏਕਤਾ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Thank you so much. The next speaker we have is actually a doctor. Dr. Lovelace is a professor at the American University School of International Service who has co-created a research online disparity to parity.org and is the daughter of farmers from Kentucky. So please.
Greetings!
Singh in Washington, D.C. in traditional Piscataway lands. I greet you and I stand in solidarity, radical solidarity with the Indian farmer movement, the largest in recorded history.
We're doing live stream on
We
there.
recognize it for what it is, truly historic. A potentially pivotal moment in all agricultural policies for the whole world.
I wish
Anytime tens of millions of people, interfaith, intergenerational, come to the streets and risk their lives, it's important to pay attention. And if you don't, you're an authoritarian dictator. So we start with that. We're in solidarity with the fact that people are in the streets. But it's doubly important to listen because what they're saying is so right. They are right. It so much hinges on fair agricultural policy. It might seem peripheral, it might seem old-fashioned, but it's not. If you care about food, if you care about food security, if you care about land, water, climate change, you have to care about agricultural policy. All the Indian farmers are right. Going one step further, though, they're right about the minimum support price. As it turns out, all wise agricultural policy has as its heart, it has to have the viability of the people who are doing the work of growing the food. If they're not nourished, no one will be nourished. There is enough food in the world to feed everyone well. But 1 billion people go hungry. It is not a matter of yield, it's a matter of access and justice. 2/3 of the world's hungry live in rural areas where they should be able to grow their own food. But they're growing commodity crops for export. They were told it would bring an income. But corporate controls the inputs and sells at a high price and then buys at a low price. And the farmers are stuck in a crushing debt, a crushing cost price squeeze. It's happening all over the world. It happened here in the U.S. The history of the U.S. Farm Bill is a history of supply management. Not many people know that. Back in World War I, the U.S. government said to all the farmers, go out and grow a lot of food, you can feed Europe. So they did, and the prices were high. What do farmers do when prices are high? They grow more. Then the Europeans got out of the trenches and went back to their farms and grow their own wheat. There was too much wheat on the global supply chain. What do farmers do when prices are low? They grow more. Economic failure ensued, the Great Depression. Ecological destruction ensued. The Dust Bowl, 100 million acres of dust went into the air because of overproduction. So the history of the Farm Bill was a history of saying stop overproduction and give a fair price so that the cycles of overproduction are stopped. And it kind of worked. It only worked for the white men, so there was gender and racial disparity. But there was an agrarian viability in the U.S. for much of the 20th century. But corporate interests got stronger and stronger and undermined the parity price, the support price. 1980s, tractor cake, tens of thousands of farmers went right here to demand fair prices. But it didn't work. Neoliberalism ensued. 1990s, WTO, NAFTA. The 1996 Farm Bill ended all of the supply management in the U.S. Immediately what happened? The median farm income, so the average price that farmers make from farming, has been below zero since 1996. It's all farm income. It's a sham. It's not a viability anymore. Without that minimum support price, it's nothing. It's a race to the bottom, a globalized race to the bottom. Farmers are pitted against each other. There's ecocidal externalities, climate change. 1/3 of emissions come from ag. Who's winning? The corporate interest. The CEOs are winning. No one else is winning. And Indian farmers know this. They see through the sham. That's why it's so important. That's why this is world historical. This could change the paradigm. The urgency is so great. And also I should just say, in the U.S., farmers of color bore the brunt of that agrarian crisis on top of racism. So here we are today, and we're standing in solidarity with tens of millions, hundreds of millions of Indian farmers who are right that so very much depends on a fair price, curbing overproduction, securing a price floor in exchange for the beautiful, ancient, and work of the future of nourishing food while stewarding land, preventing corporate capture. The stakes are particularly high in India with its beautiful, globally renowned agricultural biodiversity, with its legendary nutritious cuisine, with its diverse myriad agrarian communities and all of their foodways and cultures. The minimum support price and guaranteed government market provide a foundation for farming communities to continue doing what they do well and to pass this crucial livelihood on to the next generation and to set a precedent for the whole wide world. We have so much to learn from this vast mobilization. It is a rebuttal, a mighty refusal to the dominant failed model of corporate-controlled ag. It is a celebration of food, of land, and the people who nourish us. This protest has the potential to shift the whole global paradigm for the better. We are listening and we stand with you. Thank you.
I know you guys could do better, man. Give it up for Dr. Lovelace, man. Thank you so much, Doctor. Really appreciate you and the allyship that you have shown. Just like that, you know, before I introduce the next speaker, you guys know what it means to be woke? When you're woke, Punjabi kehte hain, "Jo jaagiran da banda," right? The governments are scared all around Asia, in America, that loki hun jaag gaye ne. We're not going to stand up for injustice. Look behind you. Look right here. We're not going to stand up for injustice, no matter where it's happening in the world. That being said, the next ally we have up here is James Harris, representing the Socialist Workers Party. They have been such great allies, even in New York City. Almost every protest that we organized, someone from their group has always been there and showed great companionship as well as just allyship. So please, sir.
This is such an honor to be here to speak to you. You know, the Indian farmers have lifted the world, working classes, on their shoulders and drawn the attention around the world. They're showing us the way to fight, the way to organize, and what we have to do to move ahead and advance. You know, working people produce all of the wealth in the world. Working people, farmers produce all of the food in the world. It doesn't come from any place else, but we don't determine what happens to any of it. They use it against us, and when I say they, I want to be very specific. The rich use it against us, and we don't receive any of the benefits of what we create. We are driven into poverty by the wealth that we create because they control that. We think that this fight that is taking place in India has to be shared with workers and farmers throughout the United States as well as throughout the world. Our candidates all over this country, we have candidates of the Social Workers Party running from various offices, are going to workers that are involved in struggles, in strikes that are here, in struggle, in lockouts that are here, to the movement against police brutality, and beginning to talk about some of these issues and why it's important and why we have to link up with each other to understand what is going on. Again, we produce the wealth of the world. We are regarded as garbage. We're regarded as disposable until we stop, until we draw their attention with our massive ability to come together and unite. That's what the Indian farmers are doing. The lessons are so important for everybody to get through and to understand. And that's why, you know, we're here. You know, I'm a resident of D.C., so welcome to D.C. I'm so glad to have you here. We want you to come back. We want you to help to mobilize us. And we will do everything in our power to get out the information on this struggle. We want you to speak to our meeting. Understand your importance. Well, I know you do. Understand your importance, not just to yourself, but to what's going on in the world and what we have to achieve. Okay, thank you for inviting me to speak.
Loud, please give it up for James Harris, please. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Next, I want to introduce, and I'm honored because when she reached out and she told me she's from California and she's flying out just for this, it was a very big honor because she actually, I don't know if anybody watched the Fresno Super Bowl commercial? Anybody saw that Fresno? So she was behind it as well as her team. So please, Raj Sodhi, please can you come to the stage? And your daughter can come with you too so you can go next.
afternoon. So greetings from Fresno, California. I am an agricultural lender in the Central Valley, the breadbasket of the world. Today is about awareness in America. Can you imagine? The population of California is about 40 million people, right? Can you imagine 6 times that on strike? I just can't imagine that. So there's 1 million people on the streets, as you've heard, and unfortunately we've had 300 deaths. The synergy between the farmers in America and the farmers in India goes back to George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Quote, "If you don't have your roots in farming, you are not grounded." My farmers, my clients, they own 10 acres, 20 acres, 40 acres. They are the small farmer, and they are showing signs of struggle. And this really hits home for me. Crop prices have decreased, expenses have gone up. The pandemic last year, they couldn't export their crop to China or to India. So it's going to get a lot tougher for the small farmer in the Central Valley. The difference is our country, as mentioned earlier, offers our farmers financial assistance. The SBA offers SBA EIDL loans. Unfortunately, India doesn't want to help the small farmer. There's a group in California called PAAG, P-A-A-G. It's a fairly new group, and it stands for Punjabi American Growers Group, and they're trying to create efficient ways to help the small farmer grow different types of crops so that not everyone is growing almonds and raisins and pistachios. Perhaps we need to move into a different arena. Fresno County contributes $7 billion towards the GDP. California contributes $50 billion towards the GDP. You know who's second? The film industry out of Hollywood. They're second to the farmers. And as I mentioned earlier, 5 years ago, the average farm in the USA was 330 acres. The small farmers in America are the hardest working group of people I know, from dusk to dawn, and God bless them. You probably saw the 30-second Super Bowl ad out of Fresno. We also did a national ad in 21 major cities, and from that, I received, unfortunately, some very threatening emails, as you can imagine, from the opposition. And so one of the gentlemen said, "You're spreading lies out of the Bay Area." One of them said, "You don't love India." Well, I want those people to know I love India. I love India because my blood is Indian. My grandparents, my Bibi and my Baba and my Nani and my Nanaji, they were proud Sikh Punjabi farmers. I loved my grandparents and I love my parents. Their history and heritage belongs to all of us. The Sodhi and the Hoti families are like so many across America and across the world. When India says to us, stay out of our issues, makes absolutely no sense to me. They obviously don't know the size of the diaspora across the world. It does affect all of us. 300 deceased. How many more have to die before the Indian government decides to listen to its own people? 1 million people on the streets. We need America to wake up, hear us, help us. The president and the vice president need to listen to us. And in conclusion, I just want to mention something very, very, very important about the Sikh religion and women. Guru Nanak said over 500 years ago, from woman, man is born. Within woman, man is conceived. To woman, he is engaged and married. Woman becomes his friend. Through woman, the future generations come. When his woman dies, he seeks another woman. To woman he is bound, so why call her bad when she gave birth to kings of kings? So, we stand with farmers, we stand for humanity, we stand for our future. No farmers, no food. Let's stand united. This fight is not over. Thank you.
You guys gotta give a bigger round of applause to Riley, man. The work she's doing in California is just amazing. And speaking of people doing work, my brother right here, Karanbir Singh, he actually was on the ground for a couple of months, and now he's back in the United States trying to make trying to create awareness in front of the White House. So he's a very informative speaker, very educated speaker, and we would love for him to talk about the MSP and other topics he would like to cover right now.
Waheguru Khalsa, Waheguru Ki Fateh. Long live the farmers! Long live! Long live the revolution! Long live! So we stand for the same values that the office behind us, which is the most powerful office in the free world. So we are here to urge to Mr. President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and the distinguished members of the Congress of the democracy that helps and has upheld the values of freedom, justice, liberty, and equality throughout the world. So we are here to request the American public and the elected officials to please raise their voice for the inhumane treatment of the people protesting in India, for Indian farmers, for food security. So, as you know, that it's our human right to have access to food. That's the basic human right. All living organisms, whether they're horses, whether they're dogs, whether they're any animal, anyone living should have access to food. So as you know, 45% of children sleep without food in India every day. We rank as a 94th country on the hunger index of the Human Development Indexes that are released by United Nations. We still are fighting with hunger, and we think that we would be the superpower of the world. How are we going to build a future where our children don't have food to eat? So this is a very shameful fact that India has become the suicide capital of the farmers of the world. More than 400,000 farmers have lost their life in just 15 years. So is there something wrong? So have you guys heard about the word MSP? As one sister over here from American University mentioned, the minimum support price. It's like minimum wage. Asking for MSP is not a political issue. It's not a partisan issue. It's not a religious issue. It's not a socialistic issue. It's not a communistic issue. It's a human right issue. We want food for our families and our kids. We don't want anybody to sleep hungry at night in this world. That is what the Nishan Sahib stands for. That's what American flag stands for. That's what we stand for. We are sons and daughters of farmers who have no religion, no political affiliation. They have only one duty to fulfill, to feed the world. We farm, you eat. We farm, you eat. We farm, you eat. We farm, you eat. So we will go into what exactly is this farmer protest about, because many people don't know about the 3 laws and what is the second demand, which I think is the first most major demand, which has been going on for 25 years. MSP, minimum support price. So these are the 2 basic things that everybody's fighting for in India. So the 3 farm laws, which in the first place should not be called farm laws, because there's nothing related to farming in these laws. There are trade and commerce bills. They should be called Adani Uncle laws. There is nothing for the farmer in these laws. It is a propaganda. It is a marketing scam by the government of India to call them farm laws. So the first law which talks about the mandi, the market that we've been talking around. So I will just give you a brief definition of a free market, because you guys over here know what free market is. Probably the economists in India, they know it too. But the government of India doesn't care to ask an economist what is a definition of a free market. Just imagine if we have New York Stock Exchange as a free market where Amazon could sell their shares, Facebook could sell their shares, anybody could buy the share price, could buy the share at the market price, which is regulated by demand and supply. You could buy one share for the same price, you could buy 100, you could set up a conglomerate with your family and friends and buy 1,000, million, you would get the same price. But that's not the case with the so-called free market that this Indian government is trying to create with this new policy. They're trying to split an existing market into multiple markets. They're trying to kill the Food Corporation of India, which sets up these mandis or markets, as we call them, throughout the country. So, the matter of fact is this, that in 1965, we were fighting a war with one of our neighbors, and we had still not come out of the famines of the World War II, because the yield per acre was very low. We didn't have a regulated economy. We were just born like 15 years ago. So we were still fighting, and one of our allies in the free world refused to give us wheat and crops because they allied with our enemy state at that time. So Lal Bahadur Shastri, the most honest, the most honorable Prime Minister that India has ever had, he gave the slogan of Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, hail the farmer, hail the soldier. We will fight with hunger and we will fight with the enemy at the same time. And the Indian Army, under the flag of Nishan Sahib that you see here, which is a flag of humanity and not a flag of any political idea, we fought under this flag. We defeated the enemy. We got Green Revolution. Punjab and Haryana, like brothers, fed the country. They together became the wheat bowl, the wheat basket of India. We wasted our water, polluted our soils with dangerous fertilizers. We become the most cancer, the area with most cancer patients in India. We put ourselves on the line for the country. And these people, these thankless, ingratitude-filled terrorists sitting in the Parliament of India, we call them, how dare you call us terrorists? We have the most sons and daughters laying life for our motherland in any page of the history. So the first bill, as we talked about, is the free market that India government assumes is a free market, but is the new scam to victimize families, take away food from kids, and there's nothing free market about it because there's no minimum support price. Because all the three bills tie up to minimum support price. There's no point of having a market when there is no price for your goods. We ask the government to give minimum support price as the starting bidding price for all the crops, not just 23 crops that they declare the prices for. So Modi ji, Prime Minister, he says MSP was always there, MSP will always be there, and MSP will always remain. Look at this scammy statement. They only declare MSP for 23 crops out of more than 650 crops which are grown in India. They buy only 6% of wheat and rice which is grown in Haryana and Punjab only because of the quality of the produce that we have. So So just imagine, they're saying that MSP is always there. They are trying to scam us by telling that they declare MSP on 23 crops is equal to buying all 100% of those 23 crops at that price, which is not the case. They only buy 6% to 16% of the produce, depending on how much they want it for the PDS, which is the public distribution system for people living under below poverty line. So Indian government only buys 6% of the crop from Punjab and Haryana, which is the most progressive states in Indian agriculture right now. So Punjab and Haryana, they don't need to basically have to be on the forefront because it's the right thing to do. They are leading this protest. They have always done that. They've always stood up for the right thing. So coming to the second law, which is the Essential Commodity Act of 1955, which has been amended. So this bill was originally, passed in 1955 for the protection of the consumer. So there would be no big corporations trying to, create a monopolistic market. And an analogy for this would be that, we have antitrust laws in America. When a corporation gets bigger than like 50% of the market, they try to become, through coalition or through oligarchy, a system of being the price makers, being the people who control the price of the commodity by hoarding the crops, the produce, or, just releasing the produce at the time of buying. So there's so much supply in the market, so the farmers could not get the price. So it is a scam that they're doing. So with this law only, with the Essential Commodity Act amendment only, this only law is so dangerous that it will take away from all the people who earn less than 100,000 rupees a year. And I'll tell you a fact. The median income of an Indian farmer is 2,700 rupees, which equates to 30 bucks. And the irony of the situation is, I would give you a brief example about, a Grameen Bank, Muhammad Yunus, who founded this Bangladesh, he's been working since 1974. He talks about right to credit. The way we have right to food, small farmers, small businesses should have right to credit. Because these people are charging 4% interest on these farmers every month. 200,000 rupees loan, age less than 45. These two criteria alone have the highest suicide farmers. Like young farmers are committing suicide the most. That's the most dangerous fact. And the contract farming bill, which is the third bill, that's so dangerous. They want to grab our lands. Have you all guys seen that movie Gone with the Wind, 1939? Did you hear what Scarlett said? That I don't care about the plantations, Dad. I don't care about the food, whatever. Her dad told her that land is the only thing worth dying for because it was the only thing that will ever remain. So they're trying to grab our lands. There would be no freedom if we don't have lands. So third law is about grabbing the lands from the farmers. And I really appreciate all the Sangat, New York Sikh Council, different organizations, Sangat from New Jersey, Virginia, Sikh Sangat, Maryland, Washington, D.C. Yeah, and organizations like Khalsa Aid, United Sikhs, Sarbat Pala, all the organizations that have been on the forefront of this movement. We could not imagine a movement this bigger without, American Sangat. So I will say that, home of the brave, land of the free has always stood up for the right thing and will continue to do so. So I want to introduce to you our next speaker, Uncle Ji. So because, ਆਪਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਦੀ ਭਾਸ਼ਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੱਡਣੀ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ. There is no culture without agriculture. If we forget our cultures, if we destroy our cultures, that's the most important thing for our community. So Uncle Ji, Harjeet Singh Hundal Ji from Virginia has been coming every day to support us on the North Lawn in front of the White House, Black Lives Matter Plaza, where this protest has been going on continuously since the last 11 days. So I'll hand over to Uncle.
Thank you very much. ਧਰਤੀ ਮਾਤਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਗਾਲ ਕੱਢ ਦੇ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਠਾ ਲੈਨੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਮਾਂ ਖੋਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਧਰਤੀ ਮਾਤਾ ਦੋਸਤੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਆਏ ਹੋ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। 2-4 ਮਿੰਟ 'ਚ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਮੁਕਾ ਦੇਣੀਆਂ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਿੱਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਮੈਂ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਡੇ ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰ ਭਰਾ, ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਭੈਣਾਂ, ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਕੌਣ ਦਊ? ਅੱਜ ਮੰਡੀਆਂ ਖਤਮ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਬਿਹਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੰਡੀ ਖਤਮ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਔਰ ਬਿਹਾਰ ਦੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ, ਬਿਹਾਰ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦਾ, ਬਿਹਾਰ ਦੇ ਫਾਰਮਰ ਦਾ ਹਾਲ ਵੇਖੋ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਹਰ ਫਸਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਝੋਨੇ ਦੀ ਫਸਲ ਹੋਏ, ਕਣਕ ਦੀ ਫਸਲ ਹੋਏ, ਬਿਹਾਰ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦਿਹਾੜੀਆਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਔਰ 70,000 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਕਮਾ ਕੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਫਾਰਮਰ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਦਾਸ਼ਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਦੋ ਬਦੀ ਇਹ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਠੋਕੇ ਜਾਣ। ਦੋਸਤੋ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿਣੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੇਟ 'ਚ ਦਰਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਵਾਈ ਦੇ ਪੇਟ ਦਰਦ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਬਦੋ ਬਦੀ ਖਾ, ਮੈਂ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਦਾਈ ਨਹੀਂ। ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਦੋ ਬਦੀ ਇਹ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਠੋਕੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ। ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰ ਪਾਗਲ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰ ਸੁਲਝਿਆ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਹੈ। ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਨੇ, ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਬਣ ਗਏ, ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰ ਬਣ ਗਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਕੀ ਨੇ, ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦੇਣੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਬਿੱਲ ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਮਾਰੂ ਨੇ, ਫਾਰਮਰ ਮਾਰੂ ਨੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਵਰਗ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੁਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੁਚਲ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਮੰਡੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਣਕ ਦੇ ਸਮੇਂ, ਝੋਨੇ ਦੇ ਸਮੇਂ 'ਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੇਬਰ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੀ ਆ, ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 18 ਲੱਖ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਲੇਬਰ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬੇਰੁਜ਼ਗਾਰ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਆ। ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਮੰਡੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਆ, ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦਾ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਖਤਮ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 3700 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਮੁਲਾਜ਼ਮ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਉਹ ਬੇਰੁਜ਼ਗਾਰ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਕੌਣ ਪਾਲੂ? ਕੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਇਹ ਗਰੰਟੀ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਆ? ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਰੀਏ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 4000 ਕਰੋੜ ਹੈ। 4000 ਕਰੋੜ ਰੁਪਇਆ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦਾ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਝੋਨੇ ਦੀ ਤੇ ਕਣਕ ਦੀ ਫਸਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਜਿਹੜਾ 4000 ਕਰੋੜ ਰੁਪਇਆ ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਹੂਲਤ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਖਰਚਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਉਹ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਸਹੂਲਤ ਆ? ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ 'ਚੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪੱਕੀਆਂ ਮੰਡੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਦੀਆਂ ਸੜਕਾਂ ਬਣਾਉਣੀਆਂ, ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧ ਕਰਨਾ, ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧ ਕਰਨਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨਾ। ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰ, ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰ, ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਫਾਰਮਰ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਤਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਹੋ। ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਅੱਜ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈ ਦਿੰਦਾ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਯੰਗ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਵਧਾਈ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਡੀਸੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਵਾਈਟ ਹਾਊਸ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਫਾਰਮਰ ਦੀ ਹਾਲਤ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਫਾਰਮਰ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਸਟੇਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ, ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਕਈ ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਪਾਣੀ, ਬਿਜਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੱਟ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਡਰੇ। ਮੈਂ ਅੱਜ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਵੀ ਦਿੰਦਾ। ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 307-8 ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਪਾ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਲਾਪਤਾ, ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਲਾਪਤਾ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਹਾਈ ਮੰਗਦੇ ਆ। ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਨੂੰ, ਵਾਈਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਹੱਥ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ, ਕਦੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਾਈਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਦੇ। ਔਰ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਅਧਿਕਾਰ ਆ ਕਿ ਦੂਜੇ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦੇ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਐਸੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਦਖਲਅੰਦਾਜ਼ੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ, ਔਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਖਲਅੰਦਾਜ਼ੀ ਦਿਓ, ਕਰੋ ਔਰ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਪਾਓ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿਮੀਂਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਿੱਲ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਸੰਦ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਕਰੋ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Next couple of speakers we have all the way from New York City. They are young Jawat from Sansag Gurdwara, and we always say about youth empowerment. We always say that. However, when it's time to empower the youth, we take a step back. But what I love about Sansag Gurdwara and the Sanghas, they always take a step forward in this direction. Almost everybody from that Gurdwara. It's the Sanghas Gurdwara. I really appreciate that. So from their Gurdwara, we have Sahib Jodh Singh, Jaskirat and Ikjot. So please.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today I just want to start off with a little introduction to everything that's going on in India about farmers' protests. So, what is one thing that all living things need in life to exist? A food source. And for us, our food source comes from where? The farmers. And as the farmers advocate Brenda Shope had once said, Once in your life, you need a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, and a preacher. But every day, 3 times a day, you need a farmer. Now imagine a world where farmers are not able to make a livelihood, aren't able to produce enough crops for the world because of the riddance of MSPs. This will be catastrophic. A world where millions will be unemployed and billions will be left hungry. Hot, rainy morning, scorching afternoon, and wintry nights. Nothing has gotten in the way of farmers fighting for their rights that have been snatched away from them from the Indian government. Farmers require the right to continue their work without corporate interference. 3 farm laws passed by the Modi administration to destroy the entire farming industry in India. These laws give unprecedented powers to corporations by deregulating trade and undermining the existing state support systems that serve farmers. The 3 farm laws are the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act, the Farmers Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act, and the Essential Commodities Act. These laws devastate the livelihood of farmers trying to make a peaceful living in India. At the end of the day, farmers don't get the recognition that they deserve for providing the world with the necessary means of living.
There's a global pandemic going on right now, and it has taken the lives of millions of people. This pandemic hasn't stopped our farmers from fighting for their rights, and it won't stop us from supporting them. We must stand together and fight against this injustice. Over the last 3 months, about 300 people have lost their lives, and the Indian government does not care about a single one of those lives taken. We must stand together and fight against this injustice. United we stand! United we fall! United we stand! Together we will! United we stand! Together we will! Bole Sonehal!
So thank you. We're really grateful, especially to all the young, people who have come on their own, especially from Midwest, West Coast, everybody. So a small, tribute to the women because it's the International, Women's Day month. So agriculture in India could not be imagined. Actually, we cannot imagine the country India or any country without the contribution of women. Women been really instrumental, in every aspect of agriculture, whether that's tilling the lands, even they drive tractors now, the protest is being led by women on so many fronts. In Haryana, Rajasthan, Punjab, we have leadership, so we would like to apne sare mata bhena bibiyan New York to mata ji aajo, so mata ji Sarbjit Kaur and oh sare hor to gal karnge, so please tusi aajo ji.
मोदी सरकार ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਸੁਪੁੱਤਰ ਤੇ ਸੁਪੁੱਤਰੀਆਂ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ੁਲਮ ਨਾਲ ਲੜਨਾ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਝੁਕਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ੁਲਮ ਅਗਰ ਝੁਕ ਸਕੀਏ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਕ ਲਈ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਹੱਕ ਲਈ ਲੜਾਂਗੇ ਵੀ ਔਰ ਜਿੱਤ ਕੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਹਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਾਂਗੇ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪ डट के रहो और अपने हक लेके जावांगे और जित के जावांगे। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੋਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੋ ਫੂਡ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੱਕ ਜੈ ਜਵਾਨ ਬੱਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ पंथ की राज करेगा खास बोले सो निहाल वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।
You gotta hold it for all the ladies, all the women of this revolution. Leadership women have shown in this morcha, have once again defined that women are the reason we're able to do the things we do in society. And now I'm very pleased the next couple of speakers we have are majority women. Raj's daughter, Sabrina Bisla, has also traveled from California to share some thoughts.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. As you guys know, it's March and we just passed International Women's Day. I'm going to actually read some quotes for that. And this is an issue that I truly believe in. We have issues here in America and also in India, but time's up. From Janelle Monáe, we come in peace, but we mean business. And to those who dare to try and silence us, we offer you 2 words, time's up. Here's to strong women, may we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. And that was from Michelle Obama. And I love Michelle Obama. She's great. She's a queen.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The next speaker we have, she's actually pretty incredible. Her Mussy didn't sign up with them. I'm surprised. I want her to get on stage too. So Jasmine Kaur, who's been to almost every protest. I think I've seen her in DC a couple of times. So no matter where there's a Kisan rally, she comes from New York City with her Mussy, with the whole crew. So I'm very thankful she's traveled to New York City, to DC once again. And Mussy, please, you come on stage as well.
My name is Jasmine Kaur and I am the daughter of a farmer. We usually expect men to be at the forefront of any matter regarding Zameen because women are always taught to never interfere. However, standing here today and what I've seen these past few months, I am so proud to see all my sisters standing shoulder to shoulder with our